So I wanted to do a follow-up video to a video I did about a week ago, titled "The Freedom Choice I'm Making with My Hair," I believe is what the title was. And in that video, I talked about trying to decide which way I wanted to go with my hair journey. I'm tired of getting box braid extensions or two-strand twist extensions, which is I usually alternate between the two. I had been doing that for several years. And in between, sometimes I would just wear my natural hair, but it would still be like braided up or twisted up or in some sort of protective style. So I've been meaning to do a follow-up video for that video because I have officially made a decision on what I am going to be doing with my hair, and I have decided to go ahead and start locks. Again, this will be the second time that I'm ever starting getting locks installed. The first time I got locks installed, I had interlocks, and I started that journey, I want to say maybe back in 2018, and it lasted for maybe a good 2.5 years. I would say, yeah, about 2.5 years. And then I ended up cutting them out because I just didn't like the direction that my hair was going. But now, hindsight being 2020, there were some things that I could have done. If I was just a bit more patient, there were some things that I could have discussed with my loctician to kind of help remediate, what was going on. But at the time, the locks were really pretty. I had interlocks. They were like perfect for my lifestyle because I was very active then. I was still, I was working out heavy. I had a pretty physically demanding job. Um, and, also I would sweat a lot and things of that nature. So, the interlocks worked out great. And, um, as my hair grew, they were looking really nice, very neat, I was like on pretty much on a schedule. I was getting them retightened like every 5 weeks, which now hindsight, it might have been a little bit too frequent because what was happening was, um, as my hair was growing in, with every little bit of new growth that I had, like when I would get it retightened, the lock would just get thinner and thinner and thinner. And so I would found myself asking my loctician to combine, like almost like consistently for a little while. I was asking her to combine more and more locks together because they were just so thin, and like the inconsistency between the interlock, like it would be a little bit thicker towards the top, then it would get like really thin in the center, and then it would get back a little bit thicker in the bottom. And a lot of my locks were like that. Even some of them even broke off a little. I had like maybe a couple, not many, but like maybe two or three that actually broke off because they had grown so thin, and I didn't like that. And from far away, it was beautiful. It's like that movie. If you ever seen the movie Clueless, I'm dating myself here, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And there's a line in there, and one of the characters, she goes from far, well, I believe it's actually Cher, the main character. She goes, from far away, it's okay, but when you get up close, it's just a big old mess. That's like how I felt, that's how I felt about my locks. And we're most critical of ourselves because we're the ones who are looking at ourselves every single day in the mirror and stuff like that. So we're going to notice things about ourselves that the average person isn't paying attention to, unless they're spending a whole lot, unless it's somebody that you spend a lot of time with. But even greater still, we're scrutinizing ourselves a lot more, I believe, than probably most people. So in any event, I grew a bit impatient. And so I was just like, I'm not, even though they're cool and I love the convenience of not really having to do my hair at all. I just wake up and go, like very minimal product, in my hair because I was going, to my loctician so frequently. She took care of all of the heavy lifting, with my hair. So it was the perfect setup for me. But ultimately ended up growing a bit impatient with it and ended up cutting them out and just like literally cutting all of my hair off and then starting over from scratch. And just never going back to the locks. And then ended up wore my hair out for a little while. I let it grow. I was rocking like, the mohawk kind of thing for a while. And eventually, once my hair got like long enough, where I was comfortable to put box braids and stuff back in there, that's pretty much what I had been doing pretty much ever since. And one of the things, about this channel and the reason I started this channel was because I want to document my journey in lifestyle design, right? And my three main things that I'm chasing after is time, location, and financial freedom. But one of the things I feel like documenting my hair journey too kind of tie into um all three in a sense. And let me try to explain my thought process on that. So, me deciding what I want to do with my hair, it ties into my time freedom, right? Because I'm picking a style that initially will require a little bit more time in the beginning phases, as as the locks are, coming in, and the baby phase and all of that stuff. It's going to take a little bit of time to get that process started, but once I get that process going, it's going to take less time for me to maintain it, you know so is how I factor it in as going into my time freedom. Location freedom, I mean, not necessarily location freedom, but the way I'm thinking about it is it's a style that no matter where I am or where I choose to be, um, it's something that I would be able to maintain. Depending on where I go, it may or may not be the easiest, as far as maybe finding a loctician in the area. But generally speaking, it's one of those things where I don't have to be, like I need to be somewhere within relatively easier distance to be able to get to a loctician for like retwists and things of that nature. Um, so not necessarily freeing up the location, but just knowing that no matter where I am, I will have that option to, be able to find anywhere that I'd want to be anyway, anywhere that I choose to be. I have that option to be able to keep my, locks maintained. And then financially, again, kind of like initially, it's going to be a little bit on the more on the expensive side because, getting locks installed can be expensive depending on, depending on how long your hair is and things of that nature, however they, do their pricing and everything. And so initially for that initial install and then just the regular maintenance, I would say within that first maybe 6 months or so, you might be spending a little bit more money. But ultimately, once you kind of get past that beginner stage, you're not having to go in as frequently. It might be every 2 to 3 months, you know, that you might need to go in for maintenance. And for me, that's freeing up my, um, my budget a bit because with me wearing extensions, with me wearing box braid extensions and stuff like that, I was getting that done like every 4 or 5, maybe every 5 weeks or so. And I mean, so that really worked out to be every month. And that's, you know, easily over $100, like on average, maybe $120 every single month, just to maintain my hair, to get my hair done. And that adds up. You know what I mean? So I believe with getting the locks, like I said, initially, it's that initial investment to get everything going and make sure everything is growing in right, and this, the hair is doing what it should be doing, and stuff. So I'll probably average, and I'd probably still average less, or maybe about the same amount that I would have normally in that first 6 months. But after that, I think it'll free up the reins, and it should free up the reins, for me, getting the maintenance and stuff done to the locks and stuff. So at least that's my train of thought. And to me, I ran the numbers and I was kind of factoring it in. And I'm like, well, yeah, it'll be about the same as what I was paying for the extensions, but over time it'll be less and less frequent. And then, it's really up to me, as long as my hair is looking healthy and stuff, it can be, more so up to my discretion, especially later on down the line, how often I go in to get them, retwisted and stuff like that. So just depends. So yeah, so that's how I kind of think about it, and going into the decision to go ahead and just buckle down and get the locks. But as I mentioned in that previous video, it's something that I had been considering doing for a long while, especially being in the DMV area. I don't if anybody's familiar with that area. A lot of people wear locks, and it just kind of reminded me, I was like, man, I kind of miss having the locks, because I was just chilling. It wasn't really, didn't have to think about too much. And that's the kind of lifestyle I'm all about. That is my jam, where I don't have to put too much thought into a lot of things like hair. Which is a great segue into what my challenge is currently. So, for the last week or so, you've seen I've been rocking the Au Natural. No, I haven't even gotten, just my natural hair braided or anything. And that's because I have resolved to just not do anything and just kind of let my hair just breathe for a while, until I get the locks installed. So in a little under 2 weeks, I will be getting my locks installed. And I said that I won't do anything to my natural hair in the meantime. I'm just going to wear it tied up, just tied up, and just see, and, just to kind of give my hair, a break from always being tied up and wrapped up and stuff. Cause I mean, honestly, I've just been doing that on and off for years, just years. And even the in between times, it would only be, I would say, maybe out of a 12-month period, maybe 3 of the months out of the 12 were, probably not even 3 whole months, but I'm just rounding up, maybe 3 out of the 12 months that I would actually just wear my actual hair out. And then it's not necessarily 3 months consecutive. It's just like over the total amount of time, 3 to 4 months. And I'm probably being a bit more generous, every like 2 or 3 months. Basically, I would say on average, for every 2 times that I got extensions, in between that, I would just wear my hair out for a little bit. But it wouldn't last too long. It may last a month, if that. And then they'd be right right back in extensions again, because I am not about that having to do my hair type life. So the simpler I can keep it, the better for me. And so that is what my current challenge is right now. It is to not mess with my hair. And not, I'm so tempted every day. I'm just like, I just need to put these in some cornrows or something and call it a day. But I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna just gonna let it breathe for a little bit, and and rock out with it. It'll really be, literally, by the time I get my locks installed, it'll probably be one of the longest times in a long while that I just wore my hair just tied back in a ponytail with no braids or twists or anything, put in there. And I'll do that every blue moon, like, but it'll only last for about a week, if a whole week, because I'll try to let it breathe for a little bit before I, get it tied back up or braided back up again. But going on about 3 weeks, or going for about 2 weeks, yeah, about like 2 weeks without doing it. For me, that's a bit of a challenge, because I just don't have the patience for it. So I'm just gonna keep it, rock the little poofy ponytail, until I get the locks installed. But I am super excited um about getting them installed, and I chose the two strand twist method. So, like I said before, I've actually this will be the third type of method, because I kind of gave you my backstory with my locks, but there's even a even shorter uh backstory before that, which was the very first time that I ever tried to get locks installed, and I tried to do comb coils, but that was very short lived. I think after about two months of having to constantly go back, after maybe a week or two, maybe like 2 weeks. Each like every 2 weeks, I was going back to try to get those things reinstalled, because they just weren't lasting, because I was sweat. Like, I worked out a lot, and I was still in the army at the time, and those cone coils just wasn't working out. So I actually had tried that method, and I just knew that that wasn't ever going to work out for me. So once I came back around again to do the locks again, that's when I went with the interlocks. And like I said, they worked out as far as the neatness and staying in, but my hair was just thinning, and I didn't really like it. So um, now we're going with the two strand twist. And like I mentioned in the last video, I didn't even know that you could start locks with two strand twists. I mean, I guess ultimately it makes sense that you would be able to. I guess if you tie your hair up in any way, whether it's with like two strand twists or braids, ultimately, if you just leave it alone and let it grow and then just start twisting it at the root, I get, you know what I mean? But I just never heard of, people actually starting it with two strand twists. Like, I only ever knew of, people doing, just the traditional palm roll comb coils, um, you know, interlocks, or even braids. I knew that people did them with braids, but I just never had particularly heard of anybody starting them with two strand twists. So I was, doing all of my research and all of that stuff on YouTube and Pinterest, and different, reading different articles and stuff like that online, just quick browsing through. And then after I chose the loctician, and I feel pretty good about her, and doing my little research and stuff. And I was like, well, I'll try the two strand twist. I still don't want to do the comb coils or whatever, because I just feel like those just won't last, even though I'm not nearly as active as I was before, which is, side note, that is one of the things that I am going to work on being better at, is just being more active and getting back to exercising and stuff like that, because I'm getting older, and it's just, I need to continue to make sure that I stay active. But having a dog and having to take him out for walks and stuff like that, we spend a good amount of time outside walking around and stuff. So for now, for me, I'm okay with that. I'm able to kind of maintain my weight and stuff without doing a whole lot of extra, you know, working out and exercise like that. So I'm okay with that for now. But ultimately, I would like to get back in the gym. But nothing cray cray. Like, cause when I tell you guys, back in the day, like, I was like hot and heavy in the gym. Yeah, but I can't ever see myself being that intense with working out and weightlifting and weight training and stuff like that, like I was before. Especially now, I just don't have the energy for it. But thinking of doing some, more low impact type of stuff. But that's another conversation for another video. I digress. But getting back to the two strand twists, yeah. So I chose that because just looking at a bunch of different videos and just kind of seeing, how what they look like over time. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. And what actually also helped us what helped help me decide on that, sorry guys, what helped me decide on the two strand twist method is because not too long ago, I would say, I don't know, it's probably been a couple of months ago, in between me getting my box braid extensions, I actually went to a new shop and got two strand twist installed, or just regular. I said installed, but just with my natural hair, just regular, with no intention on locking it up or anything like that. And I'm not sure, like, now I had gotten two strand twists before at different places, and I went to a new place, and those two strand twists that I had, those things were in there. And they, I mean, they weren't too tight or anything on my scalp or anything, but I could tell whatever the product was that the, stylish used on my hair, those things were not coming out. Like, I could just tell after about 3 weeks, they still were like perfectly intact. They weren't fuzzy or frizzing up or coming unraveled. Like, those things were in there. And I was like, dang, like, these things is just really in here. And after about 4 weeks, because I ended up keeping them in. I only ended up keeping them in for about maybe three and a half weeks total, because I was ready to get my box braids put back in. But I kind of was on the fence about even getting the box braids, because I was like, these twists that I got seem like they gonna last for a little while. For a little while. But I was like, well, I'm gonna just go ahead and just get the box braids anyway. But I kind of wish I would have given myself a chance to even see how long I would have been able to kept that up, kept those up, especially if I just, wash the root, maybe put like a wave cap or something on just to wash the root, just to see. But in any event, that was kind of like my first introduction to two strand twist kind of being not permanent, but yeah, like they were in there, like more permanent than I had ever experienced before. So I was just thinking about that experience when referencing if whether or not I should, which method I should go with my lock install. And after speaking with the loctician, before I even brought up what I was considering, I just, was trying to tell her, what this type of look I was going for, the size of the locks, et cetera, et cetera. And she actually recommended the two strand twist. And I was like, okay, that just kind of confirmed, what I had already been thinking, but I wanted to hear, I wanted to hear it from the professional, to see, because that's what the idea I came in there with, but I wanted to see what she said. And she said the two strand twist should work out great. So I'm like super excited about that. And I'm excited to actually, because I want my hair to be a part of to be a part of this journey. And so I'm definitely going to, if for nothing else, only for me to keep, document that journey, and just to be able to see over time how the locks change, because I actually did that for my locks, my inner locks that I had, and I have pictures saved, and I think I see myself doing many more videos regarding my hair, especially once I get the locks installed. And once I, start really putting a bit more effort in editing these videos, I'll try to include some pictures on, like, my previous hair journey, and include it in with my new hair journey. That's just ideas. I'm just kind of thinking out loud on the video. But ultimately, in any event, that is what my decision is. So in a little over a week here, I will be starting a new lock journey with two strand twists. I'm super excited about it. And in the meantime, I am going to try very hard not to do anything to my natural hair while I wait for my lock install. And it is going to be a challenge, because I was thinking about that all day today. I was like, I just should just get some braids or something, put it in my hair, because this is driving me nuts. And that's why I wanted to do this video today, because that was the recurring theme in my hair, my mind all day, about me being able to just hold on and not do anything to my hair until my appointment. But that is my hair journey update. Thank you all so much for joining me today and watching my video. And let me know in the comments if any of you are considering starting a getting interlocks or locks in general, are you considering maybe doing it, or have you done it? How has it changed your life? Let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.